The paradox of letting go. Want nothing, attract everything. Have you ever noticed that the more you chase something, the further it runs? The more you need someone to love you, the less they do. The harder you try to control your life, the more chaotic it becomes. It's a strange paradox, but here's the uncomfortable truth. Needing nothing often brings you everything. Now pause for a second and breathe that in. This isn't just some New Age philosophy. It's been whispered by the Stoics, carved into Taoist scrolls, and tattooed into modern psychology. Wanting nothing doesn't mean you give up. It means you stop clutching. It means you stop begging for life to deliver you a script. And instead, you start becoming the author. So what happens when you let go? Picture a still lake, the kind that mirrors the mountains and sky with perfect clarity. Now toss a stone into it. That image? Shattered. That's what clinging does to your mind. Every time you obsess over the outcome, every time you try to force something or someone to act a certain way, you stir the waters. You blur the vision. You lose the moment. You see, our culture glorifies control. Hustle harder. Grind longer. Manifest more. But most of us are just white-knuckling our way through life, terrified of letting go because we think surrender is weakness. But what if surrender is the doorway? What if the very thing you're pushing for is on the other side of silence? Let me tell you a story. There's a traveler lost in a desert. He's desperate, thirsty, crawling. He sees a mirage, chases it, only to find hot sand. Again and again, he runs toward illusions. But it's only when he finally collapses, lets go, and accepts the stillness, that he notices the sound of water trickling from a hidden spring nearby. It was always there, but his noise drowned it out. You might be living like that traveler right now, chasing the next dopamine hit, relationship status, or success marker, all while missing the quiet spring that's been whispering behind you. Stop running. This is the wisdom of the ancient world. In Stoicism, Epictetus reminds us, freedom is the only worthy goal in life. It is won by disregarding things that lie beyond our control. Think about that. You win your life back the moment you realize you were never meant to control all of it. You were meant to witness it, shape it with care, but not possess it. Letting go isn't passive. It's power. It's choosing to walk away from what drains you without needing an apology. It's knowing your worth in silence, not by broadcasting your value to the world. It's staying grounded when everyone else is sprinting toward validation. And it's damn hard, because ego wants to hold on. Ego says, but what if they leave? But what if I lose everything? But what if I never get this back? But soul whispers, if it's for you, it will return without being forced. And if it doesn't, it was never yours. We confuse effort with attachment. You can care deeply without clinging desperately. You can show up fully without over-identifying. And the truth is, letting go will offend some people, especially the ones who benefited from your lack of boundaries, especially the ones who only knew how to connect with the version of you who begged. But you didn't come here to beg. You came here to be, to stand, to allow life to meet you in your stillness. So here's the challenge for you right now. What are you gripping that's already trying to leave? What story are you telling yourself about your worth that's keeping you in places that drain your soul? Stop. Stop chasing those who don't see you. Stop trying to win battles that only exist inside your head. Stop needing things that require you to shrink. Stillness is strength. Detachment is a weapon. And silence, when mastered, will echo louder than anything you could ever shout. But here's the paradox again. To truly master detachment, you can't fake it. You can't use it as a tactic. You can't pretend not to care just to get what you want. That's manipulation. And manipulation vibrates on the frequency of fear. True non-attachment is rooted in trust. You trust that life will deliver what's yours, or better, if you get out of your own way. You trust your timing. You trust your healing. You trust that the next chapter doesn't require you to carry every broken piece of the last one. You let go, not because you gave up, but because you finally realized you're not missing out on anything that's meant for you. Let me repeat that. You're not missing out on anything meant for you. Breathe that in again. You'll be shocked at how magnetic you become when you finally decide to stop trying so hard. People feel it. They feel the shift when you don't need their validation. They feel your presence when you no longer shrink to fit in. They see your energy shift, and they can't explain it, but it makes them pause. Because in a world full of noise, stillness stands out, and that's where we begin. Letting go isn't the end of desire, it's the beginning of alignment. Now don't get this twisted. Emptying is not about apathy, it's not giving up. It's not becoming cold or detached from life. It's the opposite. It's the path back to intentionality. It's not, I don't care, it's, I care so much that I'm no longer willing to waste it. Your care is sacred, so give it slowly, give it wisely, give it where it can grow. That's why creating space is radical, because it forces you to confront the truth. Not everything you carried was meant to come with you. Some people were seasons. Some dreams were just stepping stones. Some parts of you were never really you, just echoes of survival. Let them go, let the noise go, let the clutter go, let the performance go. And in its place, let clarity come, let alignment come. Let real power, the quiet, sovereign kind, rise up inside of you. Because once you've emptied, you're finally ready to receive, and not just anything, but the things that actually nourish you. The path that feels like home. The people who don't need you to shrink. The life that feels like yours. So if you're standing at the edge of that space, afraid to let go of what once kept you safe, take the step into the silence, step into the unknown, step into the truth that's been waiting for you underneath all that noise. Because from that space, everything real begins. Empty to receive, creating space for power. Let's talk about space. Not outer space, but inner space. The kind most people are afraid of. The quiet, the pause, the empty chair at the table, the long walks with no phone, the weekend without distraction. That space makes people uncomfortable. Because most of us have filled our lives so tightly with noise, with tasks, with drama, with chasing, that we've forgotten how to sit with ourselves. But here's the truth, you can't receive if you're already full. You can't meet the next version of yourself if the current one is obsessed with staying busy for the sake of survival. You can't invite new energy into your life if your hands are still clutching old stories, past people, toxic loops. You have to empty. And that, my friend, is the most underrated, misunderstood act of power there is, because it's not loud, it's not flashy, it doesn't come with applause. It comes with silence and sometimes loneliness. But that space you fear, that space is where everything begins. When you empty, you stop reacting and start responding. You begin to see things, not through the lens of urgency or scarcity, but clarity. You begin to realize how much of your energy has been leaking to people who never asked how you were doing, to arguments that were never worth your words, to goals that weren't even yours. There's a Stoic idea worth remembering here. He who is not a slave to necessity is free. Most of us are slaves to unnecessary things, deadlines we invented, expectations we never questioned, attention we don't even want, yet we keep feeding. Emptying isn't about quitting life. It's about removing the clutter that keeps you from living it. Ask yourself right now, what would happen if I just stopped explaining myself to people who are committed to misunderstanding me? What would happen if I stopped scrolling through the opinions of people I don't even know and instead listened to myself? What would happen if I left behind the old niche I outgrew, the role I never chose, the path that was paved by fear? You'd create space, and that space, that's your edge. Most people think power comes from having more money, more attention, more people wanting you. But the deepest power, the most rare and magnetic energy, it comes from needing less. Imagine walking into a room and not needing to be liked. Imagine having a conversation and not needing to prove anything. Imagine setting a boundary and not explaining why. That's what space gives you, sovereignty. But here's the catch. The moment you begin to create that space, life will test you. It'll send the ex who suddenly wants to talk. It'll dangle the shiny opportunity that isn't quite right, but would fill the void. It'll throw distractions in your path and whisper, "Are you sure you don't want this old version of comfort?" And you have to answer, no, I don't need to run back to what once felt safe. No, I don't need to chase the past just because it's familiar. No, I don't need to over-explain to be understood. The people who are meant for me will understand me without a pitch. You see, when you're finally okay with not filling the space, not rushing into noise, not begging for validation, that's when you start to feel your own gravity. And guess what? Others feel it too. They don't know what changed, but suddenly, your energy is different. You're quieter but more grounded. You're softer but unshakable. You're not trying to convince anyone because you're already convinced of who you are. That's the shift. You go from trying to be chosen to choosing yourself. You go from waiting to be seen to seeing yourself first. You go from clinging to timelines to trusting your pace. And it's all because you emptied. Quiet confidence, the unshakable strength of stillness. Here's something most people don't realize. The loudest person in the room often has the least power. True confidence doesn't shout. It doesn't perform. It doesn't need an audience. It moves differently. It's that quiet person who walks into the room and doesn't need to prove a thing, doesn't need the spotlight, doesn't need validation, because they've already made peace with who they are. And that peace, it's magnetic. That's what real power looks like. Still, composed, focused, not passive, not weak, but deeply rooted. Calm on the surface, solid underneath. And in a world addicted to noise, performance, and speed, that kind of stillness becomes revolutionary. Let's be honest. We're living in an era of overcompensation. Everyone's trying to be seen, to be heard, to be noticed. But very few are trying to become something meaningful in the quiet. We've been taught that attention equals worth, that if we're not constantly posting, proving, achieving, we don't matter. But the Stoics would tell you this: don't explain your philosophy, embody it. Epictetus. You don't need to talk about who you are when your actions make it obvious. Confidence doesn't ask, it just walks. And the deeper your self-trust grows, the less you feel the need to speak. That's the turning point, when you stop performing and start being. When you no longer wait for others to recognize your value, you become someone they can't ignore because you carry yourself differently. You're not shaken by rejection. You're not flattered by crumbs. You're not moved by trends. You're grounded in something far more rare. Clarity. Clarity in your values. Clarity in your direction. Clarity in your voice, even when you choose not to use it. It's like this. A lion doesn't need to roar for you to know it's powerful, and neither do you. So how do you build this kind of quiet confidence? It doesn't come from talking more. It comes from trusting more yourself. It comes from small, unglamorous habits, from promises you keep in the dark, from discipline when no one's watching, from self-respect when no one claps for you. It's built when you choose integrity over popularity, stillness over drama, purpose over ego, and over time, that builds something few people have: unshakable presence. Not fake it till you make it, but face it till you become it. You start facing your fears, your patterns, your shadows, and instead of running, you sit with them. You understand that confidence isn't the absence of fear. It's the willingness to move through it without theatrics. Now here's the plot twist most people miss. The moment you stop needing external approval, it comes when you stop overgiving, people lean in. When you stop explaining, people listen closer. When you stop chasing, what's meant for you has room to arrive. Because your silence, it speaks. It says, I know my worth. It says, I'm not here to entertain confusion. It says, I no longer trade my peace for temporary belonging. And people feel that in your walk, in your posture, in your eye contact, in the way you set boundaries without raising your voice. And not everyone will like it. That's fine. Not everyone should, because this version of you isn't here to fit in. You're here to stand out by standing still while the world runs around in circles. Still, while others play games for attention. Still, while everyone else waits for permission to be themselves. You're already there. That's the irony. People think silence is emptiness, but yours is full of intent, of vision, of power. So when someone asks why you're so calm, it's because chaos no longer impresses you. When someone wonders how you stay composed, it's because you've been through enough storms to know what deserves your reaction and what doesn't. And when someone says you've changed, you smile, because yes, you have. You're no longer addicted to being understood. You've outgrown the need to be loud to be seen. You've remembered that the strongest trees grow in silence and the deepest waters run still. So now you move differently, with purpose, not panic, with boundaries, not bitterness, with presence, not performance. You don't need to explain, you don't need to convince, you don't need to chase, because you've become the kind of person who makes people feel something, even in silence. And that's the real flex.